Today with my students, I demonstrated to them what and how the acquisition process takes place in the library. What is acquisition? Acquisition is the process where a library makes deliberate attempts to build and expand her collections. The acquisition process cannot be complete without policies guiding acquisitions. There are various forms of acquisitions. There are various forms in which a library acquires materials. They are through gifts, exchange, purchase, and donations. Whichever formats these materials have been acquired, it is predicated on the policy of the institution. The acquisition policy is drafted according to the mission and vision statements and objectives of the parent institution. For instance, for an institution that offers programs in other languages, they may choose to make a policy for acquisition that materials to be procured by that library or materials to be taken into that library based on that discipline must be in that particular language offered in that discipline. For a discipline that offers English or French or Latin, they may make a policy that for every book for this particular department must be in English or must be in Latin. Again, the library could also make number of copies of book as a policy, that whatever title we are purchasing must come in multiple copies. It is a policy. Another policy could also be by way of publication. The institution could have a mission statement to be a leading institution in terms of technology. And since the library is meant to offer teaching and instructional materials to staff and students, therefore, they must offer services in accordance with the mission and vision statement. Therefore, for every book procured or brought in through whichever method of acquisition, it must have an electronic version. That is another form of policy. So whatever policy the institution chooses to generate or formulate should be what will guide the acquisition process, whether through gifts, through purchase, through exchange, or donations. Now let us talk about procurement. There are processes and there are procedures for purchase of books. First of all, there are selection tools for book procurement. One of the selection tools we have there are publishers' catalog. Publishers who publish books either in general disciplines or in a particular discipline. There are publishers who publishes books in a specific discipline. Routledge, Oxford, Heinemann, Macmillan, and a host of other publishers. Some of them have a specific discipline that they publish in. So what they do, or what librarians do, that they liaise with these publishers. Please send us your publisher's catalog. The publisher's catalog is usually a booklet or a document containing lists of titles with a photo, a sample of the book or the proposed books on them, with the full bibliographic details and also a brief summary of the book to be procured. It is the responsibility of the acquisition librarian to make these documents, this publisher's catalog, to make them available to the departments for selection. Now, in form of that selection, the acquisition policy must come into play at this time. What I mean by here is that the year of publication must be taken into cognizance by the heads of department or by the lecturer or by anyone who is actually selecting the books. You don't just select a book by title, you also select by year of publication, because for certain disciplines, currency matters a lot in information. Currency matters a lot in the resources you are going to be using to teach students and you are going to be exposing to your students. However, in acquisition, one of the first laws of S.R. Ranganathan will always come into play, that books are for use. And because books are for use, it is important that the librarian procures books that must be used by students and staff and the community of that institution. Therefore, the strength of the collections of a library is based on the policies drafted, established, and emanates from the library, based on the objectives of that institution. Secondly, there are other forms of selection tools. Now, we talk about publishers' catalog. For this, I mentioned Oxford, I mentioned Heinemann. There are also local publishers. Local publishers are other publishers who are around the vicinity. In the next video, we'll talk about it.